Start. Now recording is on. You can start the program now. CMA Rao.
Yeah, yeah. Good afternoon and good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, CMAs, and friends. At the outset, let me introduce myself. I am Chalapati Rao. I am the Senior Vice President of Indian Society of Management Accountants. I have around 25 years of experience in Middle East countries and Asia Pacific region. Currently, I am working as a CFO for one of the reputed groups in Ghana, taking care of approximately 10 countries. It's a great pleasure for me to be part of this event. Before we start this event, I need to tell you the objective of this event. The main objective of this event is to discuss the career opportunities for CMA professionals across Middle East countries. Many professionals, CMA professionals who are working in India and in other parts, have requested me, have spoken to me on many occasions, and there is a request to let them know the opportunities available for the management accountants, cost and management accountants across the Middle East region. So we are conducting this program mainly for the management accountants so that they know how to apply for jobs in the Middle East countries, what are the opportunities available in the Middle East countries. You know, when we talk about Middle East countries, there are approximately 16 countries: Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and the list goes on. And based on my experience, I spent almost 10 years in Middle East countries. I worked in Oman, I worked in Bahrain, I worked in Qatar. So there are a lot of opportunities which are available to us, because I have seen that. I've seen a lot of CMA professionals working there. So we want to share our experience and to the members who are not aware of the available opportunities. And so we want to brief them so that they can take the benefit of working in Middle East countries. As you know, that CMA is a globally recognized profession. You will find CMS all over the world. I myself have traveled more than 20 countries, and I've interacted with a lot of CMS who are working as CFOs, CEOs, Chief Internal Auditors. So I will not take much of your time. I'm the moderator for this event today. I would request our president of ISMA, Dr. Arvinder Chi, to give the welcome address and brief about the guests and speakers. Over to you, Arvinder Ji.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. So good afternoon, all of you, friends. Before I take pleasure to welcome and introduce our chief guest of this event and the speakers of the day, please allow me to read brief profile of ISMA, Indian Society of Management Accountants. Let me share my screen. This is visible to all of you. Yeah. So Indian Society of Management Accountants, this is ISMA, represents open forum of professionals working in area of cost and management accounting, who integrates accounting expertise with advanced management skills to achieve business success. Knowledge has no limits and learning has no end. Inspired with this guiding principle, ISMA has been organizing workshops, seminars, and webinars in regular intervals. Like in past, ISMA has organized Global CFO Wave Conclave, achieving breakthroughs in profit and cash flows, demonetization in its impact on business and way forward, financial analysis and decision making for entrepreneurs, activity-based cost management, driving business performance during COVID-19 recovery, and discussion on Indian budgets were few successful events organized by ISMA in past. So during these events, meaningful interactions among finance professionals industry leaders, academicians, and CMA students has been initiated by ISMA with an aim to promote management accounting profession. Branding of Indian CMA has expanded its geographical reach. We decided to start a webinar series to highlight global career opportunities for CMA professionals. So today's webinar is in the line with the same objective to focus on Middle East countries. So in near future, ISMA is planning to organize many more webinars in areas of leadership, management accounting topics, and other cross-functional areas. Please stay connected and circulate awareness of ISMA programs within your networks. We always welcome active volunteers to associate with us to work for development of CMA profession. Recently, we introduced CMA Ananda Shah, CMA Deepak Sethi, and CMA Yaminiti. That was the recently we associated with these people with ISMA. So on behalf of Governing Council, Advisory Council of ISMA, I, CMA Dr. Amarendra Kumar, President of ISMA, welcome all of our participants present here. It is so wonderful to see you all here. Welcome all of you. So now on behalf of everyone present here, I welcome to our chief guest of this event, Dr. Sauli Mukherjee. So Dr. Sauli Mukherjee, first, I introduced to Dr. Sauli Mukherjee. Sauli Mukherjee has spent more than 20 years career in the area of education. She has dedicated her life towards promotion of child-centric and activity-oriented education. At present, she is Director, School of Education and Dean, Students Affairs of Adams University, Kolkata. Dr. Mukherjee, she advertently believes that the purpose of meaningful education is to develop lifelong learners, creative thinkers, and responsible global citizens who are confidently equipped to face the challenges of an uncertain and constantly unfolding future. Facilitated our outstanding doctoral thesis in English literature by the ex-governor of West Bengal, Mr. M.K. Narayanan, recipient of, and she's also recipient of EDU Excellence Certification of Professional Achievement in Education, Certificate of Achievement by Education. Today, she has exemplary contribution to the field of education. She has also achieved National Quality Excellence Award in year 2017, Brainfield School Excellence Award 2017 and 18, nominated for Excellence in Instructional Leadership for the entire Eastern region of India by NDTV Educational Awards, a recipient of Gem of India Award, National Education Leadership Award, World Peace Award, and so wonderful profile of today's our chief guest, Dr. Mukherjee. I welcome you, madam, in behalf of ISMA and behalf of all participants. So now, on behalf of everyone, I welcome to our speakers of this event, Mr. Umesh Srivastav. He is here from Oman. Welcome you, Umesh ji. So Mr. Umesh ji, by qualification, he is MBA, MCOM, and CMA, having somewhere more than 22 years experience in established record of success in significantly growing enterprise value. Currently working as a director in mining and metal processing company based in Africa. Looking the overall operation of UAE with extensive hands-on experience in financial management and business analysis, management assurance, merger and acquisition, treasury, financing, structure financing, business leadership, and working with the senior management and promoters. He is currently director in mining and metal company based in Dubai. So friends, in the last minute chance, our speaker that was scheduled speaker, Mr. Manoj Krishna, he is affected with the COVID-19. So he's not well. So now we have requested to our own Vice President, Senior Vice President of ISMA, Mr. CMA NV Chalapati Rao, to speak today, to speak up at today's event. He has also very long experience, working experience in Middle East countries. So I also welcome Mr. N.V. Chalpati Rao. He is welcome you, sir. He is a seasoned finance professional. He holds degree and membership of CMA, CFE, CRMA, ACMA, MIPA. There are SI, CIPFA, MCOM, and some of the postgraduate degree. So the long series of degrees with Mr. Rao. He has working experience in India, Oman, UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Ghana, and he has traveled more than 20 countries. So he has also adjudged as the CFO of the Year in Retail Sector at Ghana CFO Award in year 2016. He received the award from Honorable Mr. Helena, Deputy Minister of Finance and Economic Planning Commission of Ghana. So he is currently working as Group CFO and Director for the one of the Diversified Group in Ghana. So welcome you, sir, Mr. Rao. Now, let me also introduce Mr. Pankaj Jain. So Mr. Pankaj Jain, he is very long experience, and he's also cost and management accountant, company secretary, alumnus of Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, and certified corporate director with series spirit of his spirit of entrepreneurship. He is the first founder president of ISMA, having over 30 years of diversified experience across wide spectrum of industries, working at a top corporate level position like VP, CEO, CFO, director. So he is also associated with many socio-economic initiatives in various capacity, including founder president of Indian Society of Management Accountants, Infra and Real Estate Foundation, Young Entrepreneurship Network, Indian RERA Forum, Bhartiya Global MSME Forum, and his mentor to many startups with the objective of helping them to achieve sustainability and scalability of their businesses. So welcome you, Mr. Sir. Welcome you, Mr. Pankaj Jain. Now, Mr. Rao, he is earlier as scheduled, he is the moderator of today's program. So I am request Mr. Rao to take forward to run the today program. Mr. Rao, I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. Our chief guest, especially, we are really impressed with that profile. Thank you for introducing the chief guest and the speakers. Now, I would request our chief guest, Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, who is the Dean of Students Affairs at MS University, to give the special address. Good evening, madam. Over to you.
Very good evening, and thank you so much for that warm and wonderful introduction. So wishing you all a very, very happy and a great day. Right at the very outset, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude as well as thanks to Mr. Pankaj Jain, who had extended an invite to me to speak on this platform today. I would like to start by setting a little bit of context pertaining to the disruptions to which we all have been a witness to in the last 1 year in almost all the spheres, be it in service, business, or education sector. So, very rightly said and very rightly believed that the 21st century world, the world that we live in currently, is undoubtedly a VUCA world. And by VUCA, I mean it's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and an ambiguous world where we are faced with unheard of and unique challenges almost on a daily basis. Since the turn of the century, the chaotic, turbulent, and rapidly changing environment, technological developments, dramatic demographic growth, immigration, ecological disasters, and geographical trends have disrupted our lives at an ever-increasing pace and breadth. These circumstances, definitely accelerated by the global pandemic, have caused major breakdown in almost all the organizations, and definitely that includes education as well as higher education. As the four VUCA components of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, they interact with each other in chaotic and sometimes conflicting manners and ways. In the months since the world has been embroiled in the global pandemic, there has been considerable dialogue and debates and discussions about how education should both cope with its immediate threat while also considering pivots towards new models and innovations for the future. Actually, thanks to the COVID times, which had caused major disruptions to our traditional thought patterns, concerning education and on the positive note had actually compelled us to think and act out of the box and impress considerable flexibility and adaptability and devise innovative strategies and methods to significantly address the emerging and growing complexities concerning the sphere of education. Now, if we consider certain statistics pertaining to the outcome of higher education, especially over the past 1 decade or so, we see that 50% of the graduates do not even manage to get a decent job after the completion of their formal higher education. And employers would moreover reconfirm the fact that around 80% of the ones, those who do manage to get a job somehow, are definitely not skilled enough to retain that job, and they have to be reskilled and reoriented on the job front. So if one of the major aims of our education system is to ensure a somewhat decent living after the completion of the formal higher education, we cannot help but agree to the fact that our current education system is miserably failing. One of the major implications being the ever widening gap between academia and industry expectations. Academia is undoubtedly failing to prepare the young learners to face the industry expectations, readiness, and challenges. And one of the major implications of that being, we have seen that over the last 1 decade or so, that the system is increasingly churning out more job seekers rather than job creators. Now, can we at all think of any kind of significant educational major innovations if we still continue to eulogize the system of standardized testings, which are prevalent across all sectors of education, which majorly relies on the learner's ability to conform and to comply, and not on the learner's creativity and innovation? Traditional education norms force our learners to metaphorically color and draw within the lines, that is, to conform, to compete, and to comply. Each and every learner is given the same amount of time to learn the same thing in the same way and preferably on the same day. So there's no doubt that the learners struggle a lot to realize their true potentials. Aren't we forgetting something very basic here? That the real world beyond the confines of the fancy physical infrastructure of a higher education institution rewards those amply who can actually think out of the box and can carve their own path. And in order to sustain and thrive in the 21st century, ever increasing complex workforce, the learners have to be oriented more towards collaboration and cooperation rather than only cutthroat competition. In order to address and challenge the emerging global complexities, we do not need mechanically trained minds loaded with facts and figures, minds which are systematically formulated to think alike. Rather, we need minds which are capable of divergent thinking and out of the box ideation. That is what we require. Coming to the present context of today's discussion, undoubtedly there has been a growing demand for professional management accountants, especially skilled professionals who, in the field of strategic management, accounting, and financial accounting, who would contribute to move the business organizations forward in both the private as well as the public sectors. With the main role of the economic development thrust on both the sectors, the number of management accountants required mainly in industry, commerce, finance, education, and the service sectors have greatly increased. In this regard, training and developing management accounting professionals who are innovative, socially responsible, knowledgeable, and capable of sustainable value creation has indeed gained its momentum. And it is rightly said that the CMAs are generally focused on the future of a business and not the past. They make the best use of their financial management and other information to direct strategic and operational decision making targeted at helping organizations to move forward. It is a given that a CMA designation provides its holders the necessary competencies and mindset to add value to organizations, whether by designing and implementing system improvements to streamline processes, building better reporting frameworks, or helping management map out strategic objectives. While these competencies and skills certainly add value for both CMAs and the organizations employing them, management accountants can also help improve business performance on other areas as well. Financial planning and reporting, core components of the CMA body of knowledge and market expectations for financial professionals, are in fact excellent starting points for those seeking a more strategic role. We know that economics and finance form the foundation of business decision making, and businesses are influenced in large part by external financial forces. The value that CMAs can bring to business owners, founders, and entrepreneurs is to help fill a knowledge gap. Management teams are often focused on developing new products and service lines, bringing in new business, allocating resources to continuing operations, and developing a leadership pipeline. In other words, a management team is actually busy with the many duties and responsibilities of running and developing the business. In the current business environment, which is increasingly globalized and dependent on the agility needed to adapt, the reality is such that an environment requires a more thorough understanding of economic literacy. For instance, how economic forces such as consumer sentiment and interest rates relate to specific business objectives. In this regard, the abilities to handle negotiations and to professionally resolve conflicts between other management professionals are also key skills developed in the CMA educational process. A focus on the financial side of the business and the connection between finance and business operations provides CMAs with a leadership mindset. Managing organizations and collaborating with internal and external partners aren't simple or straightforward tasks, but CMAs are actually prepared for the challenge. They're also well positioned to understand the needs of the business, management areas of focus and development, and the financing needed to achieve these objectives. Specifically, by focusing on the financial statement, how to leverage technology to achieve business goals, and how to develop leadership skills, these management accountants can see and evaluate business conditions from a holistic and comprehensive perspective. So there is no doubt that the CMAs are helping our nation towards significant, sustainable, and inclusive growth. And I'm eagerly looking forward to today's discussion pertaining to global opportunities for CMAs with special emphasis to the Middle East countries. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Thank you. Your presentation was really very good. One very good thing is that you have discussed about VUCA. Currently, the situation what we are in, basically we are in a VUCA situation, highly volatile, highly uncertain, highly complex, highly ambiguity. But one good thing also you have mentioned is that we should be a job creators, especially in this VUCA environment. Once Albert Einstein he said that in the midst of every crisis lies a great opportunity. Yes, we have been all going through, passing through a very uncertain situation, but yes, this has created a lot of opportunities also. Many people were not using Zoom or other technologies so much what we are using right now. You have also discussed about diversified thinking and out-of-box thinking, which is very much required at this moment. And CMAs are definitely competent to take, think out of box. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was really very informative, and thank you for the good insights that you have given to us. And you have said, yeah, madam. You have also mentioned that most of the graduates were passing out, right? Most of the 50% are not getting unemployment. I was reading one article where I have noticed that in USA there are 100,000 engineers who are passing out here compared to what we have engineers producing, millions in lakhs we are producing engineers. And finally, if you see the work of the engineers what we have from US or from any other country, like I have seen, we have worked with engineers, fresh people in Canada and those people. So definitely somewhere our education system needs to be tweaked a little bit so that the people who passed out, they can be a job creators. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Just to add one more point is that I'm a strong advocate of the fact that our education system actually doesn't require any tweak or reformation, because when we speak about reformation, we are actually meaning to repair a broken model. I think our current education system requires a revolution, and nothing short of a revolution will actually work for our current education system. So it's not reformation, it's revolution that is required. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I would request Dr. Arminder Ji to present a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Shirley. Dr. Arminder Ji. Hello.
A big applause for Dr. Shirley Mukherjee.
Madam,
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is a short certificate
yes.
of.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. In fact, I was talking. So thank you, Dr. Shirley. That was very wonderful, thoughtful speech for our CMA profession. So this is a small certificate of recognition in behalf of ISMA. Please.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I would request Sri CMA Umesh Srivastava, who is a director in mining and metal company in Dubai. He has got a very good experience. I would request him to share his views. Over to you, Umesh ji.
Good evening, esteemed guests, members, and participants, and all immunities. I will share my screen. It has been, everyone can hear my voice?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
It has been great evening, and thanks to ISMA senior members, Mr. Amrinder ji, Pankaj ji, Mr. Chalpati Rao, those who are associated, and they have given me opportunity to speak on behalf of ISMA to the opportunities available in the Middle East, mostly in UAE. I can talk mostly with reference to UAE. So I will run through some slides which can give overview of UAE to the participants and fresh CMAs who are looking in new opportunities in the overseas countries. So when we see a population of UAE, it is close to 10 million population, and around 88% of the people are from the expats community, and 12 to 13% of the people are from the local community. So if you see the globally the opportunity we are seeing in UAE, you can see how much dependency is there on the immigrants, on the expatriates. And most of the expatriates come from the South Asia region, which compose close to 50% countries like, and number one country constitutes India. Then other countries from Southeast countries constitute, and they contribute close to 65% of the total workforce in UAE. And most of the population, those who are working in UAE, are in UAE. There are 7 states, and most of the job opportunities and the industry is centralized to 3 states: Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah, which constitutes close to 75% of the opportunities and the business. So the main sectors where population comes, most of the expatriates stays in Dubai. In Dubai, there is a big opportunity on the finance sector, tourism, constructions. All big multinational companies of world's Indian-based companies and other companies are having offices, big setups in Dubai and in UAE, and they are employing close to thousands and thousands of employees in UAE. If you take an example of 2 companies of Indian-based, Shapoorji and Larsen and Turbo, they are employing close to 10,000 plus manpower in UAE, and most of the staffs are, or projects are in Dubai. So you can see how much opportunity is available in UAE. People always talk that this is the constituents of how much population expat community is working in UAE. If you see from India, around 28% of the population is working constitutes in UAE. Then Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines. If you add Nepal and Sri Lanka, these Southeast countries constitutes 60% of the immigrant population, expat population are working in UAE, and they are contributing good exchequer to their own countries also. And local country UAE is also appreciating the business community, the workers. They are supporting. Out of the 20 or big industrial houses, most of the industrial houses are from overseas, from India, from UK, from US, and they are recognizing. In UAE, around more than 200 countries, people are working. And it is a, I have been in UAE, Dubai for last 10 years. I can say it is a high-end extension of India only. You can't feel any difference. It is same culture, same, you have to respect everyone. There is no racism. There is no any safety issue. So that is one of the reasons. The connectivity to from India to UAE is so high. More than 20 cities are connected to UAE or Dubai, Abu Dhabi from India. Even small cities like Lucknow, Amritsar, Madurai are directly connected with Dubai. And from Kerala, close to 8 international airports are there, which has been connected to UAE and to other Middle East countries. So you can see how much population or daily travelers are there. Sometimes when we see news articles or newspaper, in one day or the business day, around 5 million populations are arriving in UAE. So that much business opportunities are available on different expo activities, conference, people are traveling, they are using as a hub for UAE when they are traveling to Africa or to Europe or to China. So the good opportunity is there, and the working timing and the working class or the experience, it is very, very compared to all the European nations or the world's best countries. If you see the overall work structure or the workforce by the sector wise in UAE, most of the industries is oil nature. So 30 to 35% of the business comes from oil, which is predominantly in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai. And then we talk as a public administration, the defense or the police, where which is controlled by the government, it is around 13 to 14%. Then other businesses, which is growing very fast, and people come to travel for hospitality, for retail, it is 10%. Then construction is around 10%. So overall, oil, retail, consultancy, construction, most of the business is located in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi. So if you see the total workforce which is working in Dubai, it is close to 55% of the total UAE population is working in Dubai. And if you add up Abu Dhabi and Sharjah, close to 65, 75% and above population is working in these three states. They constitute major economy. Abu Dhabi is the capital of the country, and Dubai is the hub where people come for hospitality, consultancy, office setups, and it is reachable to all big corporate houses, countries very well. What attracts UAE for any Indian or to any person, those who have any ambition to work in UAE? Best infrastructure of the world, road, air connectivity, airport, public transport system. Discipline is at a very high level. Ease of doing business. There is no setup that we have to physically meet any of the government staff or the employees. It is all automated. Everything is working on portal. You log into your portal, pay your fees, attach your documents, everything. Government systems are controls are very good. They interfere very less whenever there is a query. Otherwise,
sorry, Umesh, please speak little louder. I received the feedback from some audience.
Okay.
Please speak little louder.
So the government systems and controls are so good that they interfere in the day-to-day operation at a very minimal level. I can give my own example. In last 10 years, I have not seen more than 1 or 2 times any government officer has visited our offices. Government role to only supervise, they maintain systems and they supervise on them. Safety is one of the best in the world. People can go at midnight. Ladies are safest. The multicultural setup is there. More than 200 countries residents work in UAE. Freedom for everyone. Online and automated platform. This gives one of the best. Then cleanliness. This gives one of the best rated country or the city in the world to Dubai or to UAE. To people, it attracts. If you rate worldwide country-wise rating also, Dubai has always been, or UAE always been in the top 10 cities and the countries to work with. It attracts. So these are the few points where people come and feel of enjoy to work. When we talk CMA profession or accounting profession, I will not be limited to only CMAs. When we talk accounting profession, it comes our chartered accountants, CMA professionals, MBAs. So there is a vast opportunity for chartered accountant, like they work in statutory audit, internal audit, VAT, valuation, due diligence, corporate houses working as accountant. When we talk CMAs, CMAs can do similar laws work in UAE and except on the statutory audit. So CMA are always welcome on internal audit, VAT audit, assistance in filing, refund, valuation, due diligence, finance manager, finance controllers. So there is no, definitely the brand name of chartered accountants are much because they have a presence all over the world. So, but CMAs are doing very well in our organizations also. Most of the staffs are CMAs. We have in Africa, we employ close to 10,000 staffs in different fields. Around 150 people are from accounts and administration. We have around 10 CMAs working in Africa. So, and if you compare with chartered accountants, we have 2 to 3 chartered accountants working in our group. So you can say those who have experience of CMAs, definitely they will always take CMAs in their work profile, because their working culture on costing with numbers and analysis is very, very good compared to any other field of accountancy expertise. In last 3 years, VAT has been implemented in UAE. This has given a good role for all the practicing CMAs, chartered accountants, or any professional who want to set up their own office in UAE, in Dubai, or in Abu Dhabi. They are providing so good services and they are doing good. I met few of the CMAs who are practicing here in UAE. They have employed close to 5 to 7 fresh CMAs, and they have experienced CMAs also working, and they are very happy. And the salary drawn also is good compared to India, and because in UAE there is no tax on income tax, so whatever salary you get, it is tax free. So I will just give you the which are the good free zones are there, or reputed free zones available in UAE. So most of the job opportunity is concentrated in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah, where 85% of the business is concentrated, and few of the highest rated free zones are DIFC, Dubai International Finance Corporation. So it gives London model of working. Then we have a DMCC, which is a metal exchange where all metal-based companies, diamond, copper, gold are registered. Then you have a Dubai Airport Free Zone. Then Abu Dhabi Port Free Zone. Then you have Safe Zone. These are the few of the best free zones where people always come and enjoy to work with. And the culture is all multinational cultures in their field of working. And most of the Fortune 500 multinational companies are having offices in Jebel Ali or in DIFC or in DMCC. So around 80 to 90% of the Fortune 500 companies are based or having set up in UAE, mostly in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So when we talk for fresh CMAs, the salary structure, if a fresh CMAs are there with 1 or 2 years of experience, the salary range is between 4,500 to 7,000 dirham per month basis. This is a tax-free salary. With the experience of and expertise of work and in industry, the salaries varies. And in last few years, we have seen people and industry has started recognizing more job opportunities for CMAs, and in many industries we have observed that they are in par rated with CS professionals as well. Seasoned professionals and senior CMAs are highly paid, and they are having a position of financial controllers, CFOs, and director of finance, and the salary ranges from 30,000 to 60,000. And few of the members can earn more than that also, and plus other emolument benefits on a yearly basis. I have just listed down few job opportunity platforms which is highly rated in UAE: Indeed, Naukrigulf.com, Gulf Talent, Dubisil, Monster Gulf, BYT.com, LinkedIn, Gulf News, Khalij Time, ACCA Carriers, Ada Arabia, Ejos. So if you search all these sites on a regular basis, you get good number of job opportunities for fresh CMAs and for seasoned CMAs and accounts profession to work in these areas and countries to work with. And I will try to avoid agents. You try directly where the security of the jobs are there, and most of the professional companies are giving ad and posting their job opportunities and the requirement in these online platforms only, job platforms. So this is from my side. If anyone has any questions.
Umeshji, thank you so much for your presentation. We'll have a question and answers session. Definitely during that, the participants will ask the question, and then we will answer their concerns. Are you through with your presentations, or do you have any other slides for
No,
presentation?
that is fine. Finished. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Umesh for giving a overall view of UAE. We can share your presentations with the participants once we finish this session. Now I would request our President Arvinder ji to present a certificate of appreciation to Umesh ji.
Thank you, Amarendra ji. Thank you, Mr. Chalpati. Thank you, Mr. Pankaj ji, and all the senior delegate members of ISMA.
You're welcome, Umesh ji. Arvinder ji, can you hear me?
Sorry, I always
Arvinder?
unmute. Yeah. So finally, as an appreciation for Mr. Umesh Srivastava for his time, for his valuable inputs he has shared with us today, I would like to offer this small memento as an effort of appreciation, or you can say other way, certificate for recognition in behalf of ISMA. So thank you, Ms. Ji, once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Arvinder ji?
Yeah, I stopped
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah. So now I hand over. I would like to call Mr. Chalpati Rao sir. Sir, as a speaker, we would like to look forward to listen you for the global opportunities for CMA. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Arvinder ji. Many CMAs, I'm going through the chat box. Omkar ji, Arora ji, I've gone through your chats. Basically, you need to connect those companies. I'll come to that because yes, that is the most important thing of this event. Let me tell you, the opportunities, if you classify, let me put it as two ways. One is the pre-pandemic and the post-pandemic. Post-pandemic, everybody all over the world, you know that everybody is going through COVID-19 situation. Many of the economies are not doing very well. Okay, but let me take you from the pre-pandemic opportunities, then we'll come back to the post-pandemic opportunities. I will give you my example, because I'm a testimony to the fact that I worked in very big companies. Like when you talk about in Oman, I was working with South Bhavan Group, which is it is a multi-billion-dollar company. I've seen very good number of CMAs working in Oman in one of the largest groups in Oman. I worked as an internal auditor over there. Then I moved to Bahrain. Bahrain in Kanu Group. Kanu is also one of the very biggest groups in the region. They have presence in entire Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries. I have seen a lot of CMAs who are working there in these countries. Now, if you see a fresher CMA, many people have the questions: how much he can draw? If a fresher CMA can draw between 7,000 to 10,000 AED, Abu Dhabi UAE dirhams. 10,000 dirhams means almost 2 lakhs. A fresh CMA India may be getting on an average maybe 70,000 or 80,000. So you can always earn around 200,000, 2 lakh rupees. When you go to the little middle level manager position, the salary ranges up to 15,000 to 20,000. When I say 15,000 to 20,000, maybe with around 10 years of experience. When you say 20,000 dirhams, which is almost equivalent to 4 lakhs rupees per month. When you go to a little senior position of a CFO level, the salaries have gone up to 50,000 per month in dirhams, and even much more above the 50,000 limit. Now, if you see, I remember, when I was a group CFO working in Qatar, in 2007, I remember I was offered close to around 50,000 dirhams per month, which is almost equivalent to 10 lakh rupees a month. And I remember those days people were talking to me and telling me the salaries what you are drawing as a CFO is very less. I remember those days when I was working, I used to be contacted for a position of a vice president and other senior positions. The salary offered was around 60,000 dirhams. 1 dirhams is almost equivalent to 20 rupees now. I still remember I was selected for a position in 2010 as a head of corporate finance for a $9 billion company managing 16 countries. The salary offered was around $90,000. People came from London, people came from Yemen, people came from Saudi, and I was interviewed by management accountancy from Tata Strategic Management Group. I'm not supposed to tell my salary levels what I used to do, but because I know what positions I work and what are the salary levels and all. So this I'm telling you to tell you what are the salary level offered to a CMA. I have, of course, other certifications. I'm a management accountant from US, and I'm a fraud examiner from US, and other accounting degrees from UK, Australia, and Australia, those countries. But prima facie, the opportunities available are high. I'll tell you, even in when I was the secretary for Dubai Overseas Center, and even now, if you see, we have more than 500 members CMS in Dubai itself only. Even when you talk about Bahrain, in Kingdom of Bahrain, I used to go for their events when I was working in Saudi Arabia. I have seen CMS at CFO level and many other levels. So practically, if you ask me, the opportunities are very high. Yes, people may not know, like Arora ji, I was saying that, and Omkar ji, they were asking, how do we connect it? Now, to connect it, there are 2-3 ways how we can connect it. Either you go through some of the job sites. After this event, just go to the Google and just type job sites available in UAE. You will get 25 and 50 job sites. One of the job sites I will tell you, like Umesh has already mentioned, naukrigulf.com. Naukrigulf.com, you'll find a lot of jobs. You would see bait.com, which my colleague has already told, bait.com, efinancialcareers.com. Many people are not even aware of the efinancialcareers.com. You will see class jobs, very highly paid jobs in efinancialcareers.com. I repeat, efinancialcareers.com. Similarly, if you see indeed.com, you'll find a lot of job opportunities indeed.com. Okay. Similarly, Gulf Talent, as my colleague has rightly mentioned, Umesh, Gulf Talent is a very big, lot of opportunities to find it. Laimoon.com, Laimon.com. These things you can see in the Google. You have to search. See, by searching through Google, you will find a lot of, just search that job sites in Google. Okay, so you will get so many openings. And when I'm saying that openings, these openings are in around 16 Middle East countries, not one. This discussion, what we're talking is not about Dubai. We're talking about. We're talking about Dubai, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain, Egypt, and other countries also. And these countries, what I have said, including Kuwait, these countries are safe. Many people, they have a very wrong notion that even if you go to the Middle East countries, they are not so. No, it is not like that. It is like a second home to us. I've spent many time in the world in those countries. Okay, apart from this, there is something called site called monstergulf.com. Then there is something called olive.com, carrierjet.com, titrc.com, jobsindubai.com, il2wrk.com. You can go through the Google, you can get all the names of the websites like nadiame.com, GN Careers. There are 2 newspapers, Gulf News and Khalis Times. Gulf News and Khalis Times, very popular. Okay, you can go to their classifieds and you will get a lot of jobs. Similarly, Mikhail Page, Charterhouse, these are one of the reputed firms. The candidates they select are only, one time there was a situation, the salaries offered that is are more than 100,000 dirhams, means 20 lakhs per month. these are niche type of agencies who recruit only very class type of people. And I have got many times these firms, they have contacted me. Similarly, we have carriers in Gulf.com, Hays.com. So I would request all members, go to the Google, search it, you'll get the sites. Okay, nowadays what I'm seeing, people simply want an email address so that they can send their CVs immediately. Things will not work out that. That is only a method. Big companies, you take about Emirates Airlines or other big companies which are there, Qatar Airways, big companies, they have their own portal. You have to go and apply in their portal. So it takes time, and I have seen that many of the friends, they say, "Oh, I'm not getting jobs." How will you get jobs? You have to spend sufficient time going to their site, apply it, upload your CV. They have certain things to be done. Once you do it, then only you will get the jobs. Simply, if you send an email and you expect that somebody will reply you, oh, in this scenario, it is not possible. So many qualified people are there. If you see the latest placement report, I'm talking about not the current one, the earlier two placements. If you see chartered accountants annual report, 9,500 chartered accountants have passed, and in the other session, similarly around 9,600. They could able to place only 25% of the candidates. Chartered accountants, they have conducted one overseas placement. See, around 6,519 people have got registered, and out of that, they could place, or the CVs that has been shortlisted is only 89. See, we are, as Madam Shauli has correctly put, we are living in a VUCA environment, high volatility, high uncertainty, high complexity, high ambiguity. Okay, and so the opportunities, let me be very frank with you, has little bit come down, but this is a temporary phase. This is a temporary phase. It will not affect. If you compare pre-pandemic stage, when I'm talking about 2007, when I was working in Qatar, the oil prices per barrel was around $167 per barrel. That today the oil price, if you see the WTI crude oils, it is around 59.32, or Brent crude around 62. My understanding is that I have not worked in petroleum companies, but during my discussion with one of my professional finance guys, he said that oil companies will make money or a break even if the barrel price is around $70 to $80 per barrel. Unfortunately, the price is much below that. And if you take a year and a half before, you have seen that the oil prices are negative. So that is why these economies, especially in the Middle East countries, what they were doing very well are not performing now. Means this is a global scenario. If you see the global economic growth is also around 5.92%, 5.6. That is what they are projecting. And if you see the Middle East countries, especially if you talk about UAE, the growth rate is only 2.5% in 2021. When you talk about Qatar, it is only 2.52%. Oman is having a negative growth in 2021. They are projecting minus 0.55%. Saudi Arabia, it is around 3.2%. The Kuwait, if you see, it is 0.65%. Bahrain, if you see, they are working, their projections are 2.2%. But this phase, what I'm saying, in this negative situation, be positive. Things will change. People are the opportunities available are very high. Go through your job sites. Some or the other job will click. Even I'm telling you, when I was in India, I was working in JP. I thought if your CV is good, see, most important I have seen for our management accountants, many people, they don't prepare proper CV. Many professionals, their education, their communication skills are not good. Let me put, not for everyone, but many professionals, their communication skills are not good. Their presentation skills are not good. They have to improve upon. See, we are living in an age where artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, data science, robotic process automation, machine learning, this is the way forward for the world. And in finance also, these things technologies are going to be affected. If any financial professional without a reasonable knowledge of technology and data, will sooner or later become an impaired asset. Will become an impaired asset. I hope you all know what is an impaired asset. So we need to develop our technology and data levels. We need to have more experience on that, and definitely the opportunities will be there. So no need to get dejected. So as I said, the websites are one way you can go and you can apply it. Second is that many people I have seen, they come to UAE on a visiting visa. On a visiting visa also you can apply for the jobs. Even I remember when I used to look for jobs, there were situations when I have gone on a visiting visa, so it becomes very easily available to go to Dubai. See, the fare is very less when you go from India to Dubai, and it's hardly 1.5 hours. You can reach Dubai on a visit visa. You can be there and you can look for a job. So prima facie, if you ask me, job sites is one of the important things. Then you can go on the visit, but some people, yeah, they cannot afford. I know. So what I am suggesting to those people is that of late, I'm seeing that LinkedIn, Telegram, WhatsApp, these are the things where a lot of jobs are circulating. I have seen many of the members, they are searching for jobs. When I ask them how do you get a job, they're not even connected. Even in a WhatsApp, hardly how many 253, and I don't know the exact figure. That is the only limitation. I have recently joined in a Telegram application where there are more than 7,000 professionals, and the group is for only CA, CMA, and CS. And we are taking the target to 20,000. The people, members. So many jobs are there. So many jobs are there. But yes, because of the pandemic situation, let me tell you the fact: the salary levels have come down. The salary level have come down. The opportunity, because too many people are there. So you need to get yourself equipped. I will give one example. Indian certifications are recognized abroad. Indian CA, CMA, they're recognized abroad. But when you go out of India, you will have to fight with certified management accountant from US, certified chartered accountants from UK, chartered institute of management accountant London. These are the certifications that are globally recognized, much more than what our certifications are. I'm not undermining our certifications, because I have gone to CFO level with our own certifications. But what I'm saying is that you need to slowly equip yourselves. And I'm not saying that you need to have 100 degrees, add so many degrees. No need to require. Even if you have one certification from UK and USA, that will help you. Not necessarily, but even with one Indian CMA qualification, you can go to that level as a CFO. And the salary what you earn in India, for example, in 5 years, you can earn within 2 years. And the opportunities are very high. I will tell you one example. In Dubai, a few years back, long back, when I was there, I was getting almost 400,000, you can say 4 lakh Indian rupees. I remember I applied for a job of a CFO, and I just asked them. People have came all the way from Qatar to interview me in Dubai. And I asked them, sir, I need 8 lakh rupees, equivalent dirhams. 8 lakh rupees per month. I remember they have given me that job. So opportunities are there. You need to make use of it. So don't be dejected that we are not getting jobs. There are so many online platforms, and if you want to go into the big companies, the list of big companies are available in Middle East countries. Like you talk about the top 100 companies in Dubai, you can get it in Google. Go and register there in their portal, and then you see, things will start moving. That is how, as I'm talking, if you see in the entire Middle East countries, more than 2,000 CMS, Indian CMS are there working at different level. When those people can go, why can't you people go? And I would also request you that in ISMA, we are daily circulating newsletters. In those newsletters, we are covering the jobs that are available in India as well as in the Middle East and other countries like Africa. So you can go through those newsletters and you can apply the jobs. See, ISMA is there to serve the CMA professionals. It's a service which we are doing. If you people are well employed, placed well, It is a name for our mother profession. We are just helping the management accountants, whether it is anywhere the management accountants. Prima facie, it is for the Indian management accountants. So please get our newsletters. We have we share our jobs in our LinkedIn group also. We have ISMA and through other platforms. Get connected to us, and then we will try to help you out if anybody is looking for jobs. I can even share my these things, my email IDs and my WhatsApp numbers also, so you can get all the other informations. Few members, they are asking about the cost of housing and other things. So that normally the company takes care when you go in abroad. So the company takes care of everything. The housing, they will give you a package, or in some cases they will give you car, housing, and a basic certain portion. When you work in these countries, you will get a gratuity. First of all, your salary, what you are getting, is tax free, and you get the leave salary. Some companies, they pay the bonuses also. I remember in 2005-6, during that period, I was working for a very big group in Dubai. The salaries what were offered to the people and the incentives for a graduate, even 5,000 dirhams will be his salary, but his commission will be around 25,000, because there was a great demand of construction and heavy equipments those periods. I hope maybe in the coming year or two, once we are out of this pandemic, things will revive and restart. So in nutshell, I want to tell you that there are so many opportunities available for CMA professionals. So should you need any other information, we can always share our personal contact and details, and we can help you in getting jobs. We don't assure you, but definitely we'll try to put you to the people who are working there, because as we have worked, we are in connection with so many people. We can always refer our fellow members. Thank you. Arvinder ji.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable thoughts. So as an appreciation of Mr. Rao, I will, for his time, for his valuable thought he has shared today, I would like to offer with a small memento as an effort of appreciation. Let me share. So this is a small certificate of appreciation from ISMA. Even you are part of the ISMA, but still you've been the speaker of the today. So please accept this. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Arvinder.
Yeah. Now, so being a moderator, sir, again, I go back to your responsibility. So now I hand over to you. Thank you once again.
Yeah. And now I would request CMA Pankaj Jain ji, who is our chief mentor, to give the concluding remarks.
Yeah. Thank you, CMA Rao. Dr. Mendra, please unshare your screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Okay. This I already unshared, sir. Is this fine now?
No. Okay,
Oh.
let me do this. Now I have done this.
Yeah, this fine now?
Yeah.
Sorry, little technical. Yeah, thank you.
So Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, who has just left due to her, that preoccupation in some other program, so she has just left us, and Dr. Amir Kumar, President ISMA, CMA Rao, Senior Vice President ISMA, and Speaker of the Day, CMA Umesh Srivastava ji, And I have also included CMA Robin Singh ji, who is also a very active member of CMA fraternity, and those who are connected with Noida CMAs, who they are very well aware of about Robin Singh ji. So welcome Robin Singh ji on this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, and a very good evening to all of you. I will share some different perspective, although this program we have taken for the perspective of the jobs and career of opportunities in the Middle East, but I will altogether share different perspective, and that perspective is business opportunities available in Middle East, because I am passionately connected with the startups and entrepreneurs. So I think that beyond any career and job, why not CMAs can be entrepreneur? Why not CMAs can be business owners and can look for beyond career or beyond job opportunities in the countries where so much business is happening. So I just prepared a brief note from my end. So I would like to share that brief note for the perusal of all. Just. So in 2016, Saudi Arabia announced Vision 2030, a package of economic and social reforms designed to diversify the economy away from its dependence on oil to attract foreign investment and to create jobs for citizens. Their target is to raise the contribution of small and medium-sized enterprises to the GDP from 20% to 35% by 2030. In the Gulf Arab region, the boom is just beginning, from incubators and accelerators to co-working spaces, education programs and funding. Saudi Arabia is seeing a surge in the number of organizations to support entrepreneurs with an opportunity to learn from international models as well as customize them for regional ecosystem. Now, I have identified two areas where our CMAs can look for some opportunities as a entrepreneurs, as a business owners. So first area which I have identified is the business consultancy services. One of the most promising business opportunities in the Middle East is business consultancy services. If you are an expert in global business, you may be able to help other businesses in the area, since there are so many entrepreneurs and new startups. The increasing number of companies in Middle East do require consultants dealing in marketing and finance background to boost the company's growth and earn more profits. Subject matter experts and freelancers opt to open consultancy firm to provide services to clients effectively. Since the number of business entities is expected to increase, the demand for consultancy will grow accordingly. If you are planning to set up a consultancy firm, you can do that by obtaining a consultancy license in Middle East. Now, second area which I identified where our CMS can opt for some kind of these options beyond their conventional job. That is the financial services area. With so many business opportunities in the Middle East, there is a high demand for financial services, including costing, bookkeeping, accounting, and auditing. If you have knowledge in this area, you may be able to gain part of the market share, especially if you are targeting small businesses and startups, so that you are not competing with the large international accounting firms in the region. These services are coveted even more now since the VAT was introduced in 2018 and businesses need help making the necessary calculation and accounting reports related to. It does not require much capital for you to start such a firm in the Middle East. However, you will need to obtain a business license and have the necessary credential before you get started. So, dear professional friends, I am firm believer that yes, for our career, job opportunities are very, very important, but we should think, as Dr. Shawly rightly quoted, that we should think as a CMA out of our, thinking box and out of the conventional thing. And we look for more of the employment kind of thing to entrepreneurial kind of thing. So these are the options where our CMAs can connect with the professionals like CMA Rao, like CMA Umesh Srivastav ji, and that CMA Manoj Krishna ji, who was not able to attend due to some COVID kind of problem. So these professionals I have seen are very, very handy. They are always ready to connect with the professionals, to guide with the professional, to mentor with the professionals. So you can take the help of these professionals. And if you are really interested to set up your consultancy base there, so I think beyond your job opportunities or career kind of thing in a conventional area, you should also explore these options. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Pankaj-ji, for your presentation. I have to answer one question. One of the attendee, they're asking that whether in Middle East companies they keep the passport. The answer is yes and no. Yes, in some companies they keep the passport, and in some other companies they don't keep the passport. The passport is with the concerned person who is the holder. Technically speaking, passport is your asset that has to be with you only. But what happens in some of the Middle East countries? I have seen that the employees they do major frauds. And I remember when the subprime crisis in Dubai have started in 2007. It started. I remember around 6,000 to 7,000 cars were parked in the Dubai airport. People have taken a lot of loans from the banks, from the companies they work. They left their cars in the airport and they ran away to their home country. So if you are an employer, what will you do? If a person who has taken the loan from the bank or from the company where is working went away, obviously you need to safeguard your interest. So they will keep the passport, but that should not be a problem. See, when you work in Middle East, there are some challenges associated with it. These are minor things, so I think we should not ignore it unless until I have seen, yes, some of the housemates whose passports are kept by the sponsors, and yes, that is there. But on a majority case, like professionals like us, CMS, you can always request the employer that you can, during the time of the interview, that you would like to hold the passport. And if he agrees, then he can't even hold your passport. But some companies, yes, they keep the passports with them.
So, Dr. Amir, I would request that before you or CMA Rao, you can invite Mr. Robin Singh before you make the house close.
Okay. Good evening, Robin Singh ji. How are you?
Sir, good evening. I'm good. How are you, sir?
Yeah. You are a very active CMA member. So I'm blessed, at least I got an opportunity in this platform to talk to you. So, sir, you can please share your views.
Sir, thank you so much for promoting me to the as a panelist. I've joined and in fact, I was looking forward to this particular program to join when I saw this invite. One thing I'm not sure, like all of you may know or may not know, that I'm working in Middle East only right now. So probably that is something that I can share with you.
So I think in next program you can join as a full-fledged panelist.
Thank you, sir. Quickly, a couple of points. I know that you guys are very much senior to me, and I can't share that much of knowledge. But few things that I've seen that people or attendees were asking that how can we approach and how to go by, and especially one point that what is the relevance that one should be in the UAE to have the job. So just to share with you, in India, I was working with EY as an indirect tax manager. And when this VAT got implemented in UAE in Saudi back in 2018, then I got this opportunity to join Deloitte. And that was all through LinkedIn. No, nothing. I mean, I can't say that I've reached out to someone and then I got this opportunity. Someone from the LinkedIn reached out to me. We had few calls. We had virtual discussions like we are doing it right now. And after having these discussions, I was able to join Deloitte Middle East as a manager. And I can tell you the pace and the growth is so much that within 1 year, they have promoted me to senior manager. And next point is director and partner. So you can see that how much opportunity or at what pace you can go through and you can achieve whatever you want to in your professional career. Umesh sir has already mentioned that there are a couple of points like people believe that Middle East is just not that safe. So that's just a myth. I must say you, like in the beginning, when I say in the beginning, like when I started my career, I used to think that Middle East is not a good place to go for. And in fact, I got an opportunity long back in 2009 and 10 to join one of the bank actually. And I just I mean, because I was working in a very good company, or I would say multinational company. Everything was going good in India. So I was thinking, why to go out actually? But the fact is, if you go out and you explore the things that you can look for, there are ample of opportunities available. And to begin with, whoever having any experience in taxes, just repeat, I'm repeating myself. When I say taxes, business tax, which is your corporate taxation, and indirect taxes, specifically VAT and customs. You can share your CV with me, and trust me, you have n number of opportunities within Middle East, n number of opportunities. We are hiring people in Saudi, in Bahrain, in UAE, and the latest one is Oman. And we are just waiting for Qatar and Kuwait to implement the VAT. And one more important point that I want to make, I know we don't have much of time, only 2 minutes left, that earlier we used to think that whoever is working in Middle East, that experience you can't count in India actually. That's not the case here now. You have the accounting principles. For example, you need to follow IFRS. Umesh sir can vouch this understanding. I'm limited to the VAT, I must say. But yes, Umesh sir can vouch this understanding. Now you have that experience. For example, you need to follow IFRS. Then you are reading VAT, which has been borrowed from EU actually, European Union. So you have that experience. You can take this experience, come back to India, because GST, what we have in India, and VAT, what we have in Middle East, is almost similar. The concepts and everything, the complete structure is almost similar. You can go to the EU country after having this experience. You can go to the maybe anywhere in the UK. So there are ample of opportunity, and you should explore it. And the best part is you don't need to pay taxes on your salaries. So thank you so much, sir.
One question for all these panelists. So like being a like any girl CMA, right? How these Middle East countries safer or corporate and friendly for being a lady CMA or girl CMA to work in these countries? Can you?
Very, very safe. Amrinder ji, I already told that people can go on road in 12 o'clock in midnight. I'm staying with my family. My daughter is just completing the graduation, and she's working, and the work atmosphere is very positive. And if you compare with India, it is much good and high rated compared to any South Asian countries.
I agree. And in fact, I mean, if you talk about the society per se, you have your own people there. So for example, we have Umesh sir there, and Rao sir has already spoken about it. You go there, you feel it, you are at home actually. I mean, I remember when I just joined, some of the speakers were saying this is second home. You will feel like that's your first home actually.
Yeah.
When you
high end of India, means you can see everything of India. The cleanliness is better, safety is better, discipline is better, infrastructure is better. Means that is the only difference. Otherwise, all the culture, you respect the other countries' people, everything is same.
Okay, so we talk about like a young age CMA, girls CMA.
Yes.
How the I mean the opportunities available for age like mine, above 45 years.
For fresh CMAs also, the opportunity is very high. We have just recruited 2-3 staff last year, and that also fresh one, means for their family, no one was there. They just arrived from Kerala or other parts of the India, and they are staying bachelor in the shared accommodation. The group is so much that you can get same community people, same community, same local people in your roommates, and you get different type of restaurants and food servicing also of your own culture, own state.
Yeah, so in fact, my question was like, even lots of opportunity, you talk about limitation and everything. So like the people in the middle age, like above 45 years. So what are the job opportunities available for those people in this age in these Middle East countries?
See, for senior or seasoned people, I will still say as Mr. Rao has mentioned, that if you go to Charter House or some niche professional companies where the opportunities come, and that will come at a very, very high rate, this thing. And second, good opportunities are in the, as Mr. Pankaj has mentioned, I have mentioned in the slide also, as account consultant, finance consultant, CMA consultant, with the implementation of EAT, so many individual professionals have formed their own companies as a freelancer and free zone, and they are doing good. Even they are doing based sitting in Dubai, they are doing some audit and GST work also for Indian-based companies.
So you mean to like the scope is not only for job, but the scopes are also available for doing an own consultancy.
Yes, very, very high, because the
Okay.
charges are so high. Means
Okay.
I will tell you the minimum range. If you go to any type of audit, okay, you pay around 4,000 dirham. A small segment also where the number of transactions. If you talk in rupee term, it is 80,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupee. Now you can understand, or internal audit, that you give at least on SME or MSME segment industries in India, which has a turnover of 50 to 100 crore. And here, that is the minimum charge a chartered accountant or a CMA internal auditor charges.
Okay. So one more question here. Sorry, I'm crossing the some more time. But the thing is like even like for job, there is the work permits are required, correct?
Yeah.
So being as an independent consultant, what are the formalities from you government?
See, in UAE, more than 59 free zones are there. Okay. As I mentioned, one of the best free zones are DIFC, DMCC, Safe Zone. People register there, and every time they are promoting. Now Russell Khema is promoting, Ajman State is promoting. Okay. If you need any help, please WhatsApp me. I can share. The charges are if you want to set up your own company, the initial charges are very high compared to India. It can range from 10,000 dirham to 35,000 dirham, depending upon the location. But if you manage to 6 to 9 months, I can assure you that handsome reasonable fees or the charges you will be getting. Okay, you can earn in the 1 year what you can earn in 3 to 4 years in India.
Oh, that's great. Yes, thank you.
I agree. Sorry, sir.
One thing I would like to say to add to this actually. Robin ji has said one thing. Many people have a notion that people who are Middle East, they don't have an opportunities. When they come to India and other things. But because of the globalization, I give one of my example only. When I was working in Middle East, in India, the JPs of India, they came to Grand Hyatt Dubai, and they have hired me from Dubai, and they took me to Noida because they were looking for guys who are experienced in infrastructure, real estate, and in India, JP that time they were one of the biggest real estate developers. So, and one more thing is that working as a head of audit for Middle East, India, and Africa for a Polish multinational company. Once we work abroad, once you have an Indian experience and you work in Middle East or Africa or any other place, so there are certain positions available, like for Asia Pacific region, Middle East, Africa, CFO. Those positions, especially at the age of 40 plus, and if the person would have worked in these type of countries, the options are available, which for a person who is working throughout India, it's not available. And apart from that, the opportunities, I will tell you, when I was the secretary of CMA Dubai chapter in 2010, at that time, there was one guy, chartered accountant, he was the secretary from CA Institute Dubai chapter. We both from Andhra. You know what? Those days I was requiring a loan of 40 million US dollars. He brought the CA Institute president to my office, and the CA Institute president, I will not name him, but he said, Rao, I have a consultancy firm. I'm coming from India, and I will ready to finance. One Indian CMA president, when I was there, he used to come to Dubai, and he used to meet me in the hotel, and you tell me, if you Rao, if you want to finance 500 crores, if you need, then tell me, I can get you at a very competitive rate. I have seen Indian cost accountants from Pune. They used to come to Dubai to implement costing systems in one of the best companies. So opportunities are there, but unfortunately, what is happening? members know, because see, now this is a platform where we're discussing. We need to have a common platform where we can share our thoughts, experience. Then people will know. Otherwise, people will not have a wrong notion about the country, places, things like that. But one more thing I would like to add here. If you want to go to Dubai, your certificates needs to be attested, like Ministry of Foreign Affairs in India, and for example, UAE Embassy in India, they have to verify those certificates. So this is also one of the area where anybody who gets employed. Normally in Dubai, we have agencies who does these things. So once your certificates are attested, then your visa or work permit things are getting processed. These rules keep on changing, but when I was there, these were the procedures. Probably if things would have changed now.
So do you mean by educational certificates?
Your last degree certificate.
Like yes,
Okay.
On what basis you are applying? Suppose you are a CMA qualified or a postgraduate.
Okay.
So your last degree certificate has to be attested. It has to go to Ministry of Women Affairs in India, then UAE Embassy in India, and then Ministry of Foreign Affairs in UAE. So even if you land with the certificate without attestation, there are agents available. They charge some reasonable fees between 250 dirham to 300 dirham, and they complete the whole process. And in 15 to 18 working days, they get you the certificate.
Okay, good.
But,
So even
sir, I want to highlight one issue here, and probably that's something that our institute should take care of. If you are applying any job in Saudi, I'm not talking about UAE or any other country, because I've recently faced this actually. And so Saudi, they request for the certificate, which is for the regular a course, not as a correspondence or any other course actually. Unfortunately, our institute, when they provide the certification and they attest it, they don't provide that is it a long distance course or a regular course. They don't mention that thing while attesting the certificate actually, and that's a challenge. And you cannot use your degree for KSA, at least for the purpose of attestation. And because of this reason, there are, n number of people, I won't say n number of, but rather I would say 5-6 colleagues of mine that I've seen that these guys are using their BCom degree instead of CMA. So that's something which is a bit challenging actually. Apart from this, I don't see any challenge per se. And in fact, when you start working in Middle East, maybe within 6 months, you start facing that financial empowerment and you start enjoying working there actually. Yeah.
Okay. So one question, last question. Even
I will add one more thing for you. As you ask for CMA on a practicing. See, it is not the CMA or the chartered account or the accounts professionals are forming a consultancy firm for audit or due diligence purpose. I can name n number of companies, and we are using their services also on a very regular basis. They are there for forming companies, visa attestation, visa process, medical. So they charges fees, and each fees is minimum they charge is 10,000 rupees. So you can see what value of the consultants or the professional consultancy firms or accounts firm or PRO firms are working where, because as a company we cannot go every place, so we use their services for ease of operation. For that is the minimum service of each activity. Even for one visa or one company renewal, they charge between 40,000 rupees to 45,000 rupees. That is on an average. I'm talking telling on a very minimum rate.
Yeah, so one thing I would like to add here, what Govind Singh has said, our degree CMA is not a regular course. That is, distance of correspondence.
There is no problem, but in UAE,
because most of the CMA qualifications, CA qualification all over the world is not like full-time college.
But Amarinder ji, I will just highlight you. My CMA qualification has been attested by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in UAE and in India also. What Mr. Robin is referring is for Saudi, not for UAE. Okay. UAE is a big market. I'm telling you, if someone has patience and little money power to sustain for 1 year, opportunity is very big. With the coming of VAT, company formation, visa, because it is a whole process. I cannot explain on this
Yeah.
because it is a full process. When you form a company, then the person will come that, okay, please get me visa. Then they will say, please get me bank account. For every activity, there is a charge.
Yeah. And just to clarify, what I was mentioning or referring to, that was for KSA, which is Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And trust me, that is going to be a biggest market in the region because of the vision 2030. Like Pankaj sir has already referred to that vision. The prince, which is MBS actually, they are working to get the Saudi Arabia as the hub of this Middle East. So right now you see lots of regional offices are based out of UAE actually, and specifically in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Going forward, so back in India, we used to work in a special economic zone and everything. So they are planning to introduce these zones in Saudi Arabia as well. And specifically, there's a project that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is working, that is NEOM and the Line. These are two specific projects that Kingdom is working on. And trust me, the complete region, and specifically Saudi Arabia, they wanted to convert their economy from an oil-based economy to the different revenue methods. So right now, if you look at the overall revenue that they generate, the major revenue, I would say about 90% of the revenue is from the oil stream. But going forward, they are looking at it that, okay, going forward, it may be possible that no one is going to buy our oil because different sectors now have the oil capabilities or capacity to produce that kind of arrangement. So they are now focusing their shift or their revenue stream from oil-based economy to a non-oil-based economy. And that is the reason they have introduced VAT, they have introduced corporate income tax. They are also proposing or planning to introduce the personal income tax. That is something which is in pipeline. But just to make this particular region as one of the choice for professionals, they are not introducing it. But you have transfer pricing, you have CBCR rule. There are ample of opportunity. You just need to be expert in one of the area. That's all.
Okay, good. Thank you. So Robin Singh, we do not have any certificate of appreciation for you, but still we appreciate you
Sir,
to join
thank
us.
you so much, and I must thank Pankaj Jain sir to include me as part of panel. I'm thankful to every one of you, like Umesh sir, Amrit sir, you, and no doubt Rao sir.
So now, Rao sir, now the floor is yours. I hand over to you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Robin ji, for the insights that you have given. We need to have a separate session that we will discuss internally with you. But I'm very happy that with your CMA certification, you're working for a big four firm in Saudi Arabia. I have worked in that particular place, so it's a very big market actually.
So I want to have someone notify that right now we do not have any certificate of recognition for Robin Singh ji, but nevertheless it will be sent through email, that I can assure you.
Right.
Sir, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Sir, one thing I just wanted to mention that I'm not only working for Saudi Arabia, I'm also looking after UAE and Bahrain. And I mean, hopefully, starting from 16th of April, we are going to have VAT in Oman as well. So I'll look after a little bit of Omani VAT as well. And that is only for CMA, I mean, because of CMA certificate. I don't have any other professional qualification. Just BCom and CMA. That's all.
You are based in Saudi or in UAE?
Sir, I'm based out of Saudi, but I work for NAC, which is North South Europe, Middle East. So I'm part of Europe actually, and I look after this EMI region as well.
Thank you, Robin ji. I think the members who are in overseas, with whom we are connected, we should see and try to help our fellow members. That is what our objective is also. And with guys like you in the team, I'm sure we can do a wonderful job in the near future. So with this, we are concluding the session. I would like to thank each one of you who have given your valuable time and were with us for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and God bless you. stay safe because pandemic situation is getting worse in India. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is very interactive. Thank you all. Thank you all participants.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.